everyone. Welcome to the first webinar. And today's topic will be installation and upgrade on the Windows platform. So let me introduce myself. My name is Daniel Janota, and since 2021, I'm analyst of ECCoSP development.
Yeah, and I'm Lukáš Koříšek, currently IT project manager in Unicorn, and I worked and still working as project manager of ECP EDX projects, mainly on maintenance. And since last year, I'm consultant for ECCoSP development.
Yeah, so let's check the agenda. We will start with some information about new features in the latest release. Then we will go through the prerequisites and general information, such as hardware requirements, necessary network flows, some deployment types, and etc. Then there will be a practical part, and part of it will be installation, configuration, and registration of ECP endpoint and EDX toolbox, together with Java 17 installation, and then also the upgrade of the ECP endpoint and EDX toolbox. So let's check new features in the latest version. So the latest version, specifically ECP 4.11 and EDX 1.12, is running on Java 17. That's a big change since the previous version, which was using Java 11. Also, there was a change in supported operating systems. So we added Oracle Linux 8 and Oracle Linux 9 and removed CentOS 7 and 8 due to their end of the life. We have also changed database support. We started supported MySQL 2019 and removed MySQL 5.7 and MSSQL 2016. There are also some compatibility changes. For example, the compatibility with ECP3 was finally discontinued. So the compatibility job was removed, and the latest version is no compatible anymore. Also, due to TLS version changes and messaging ciphers and stuff like that, the latest version is not fully compatible with ECP 4.7.2 and EDX 1.8.2. We have added deployment support in Kubernetes, so all components are now covered, and the Helm charts are part of the release packages. We have added external authentication for web services, so you can use LDAP or Keycloak for web services. EC Broker newly provides Prometheus metrics for its queues, and also made some changes in the EDX network configuration. So the handling of network configuration. So the update of the syntax from the old one without domains to the new one with domains is much easier. So let's start with general information and prerequisites for the installation. All information which will be mentioned here are also mentioned in ECP upgrade and installation guides, and also EDX upgrade and installation guides. And if you are interested for all changes that happened in the latest version, you can check the ECP and EDX release notes. So let's take a look to the minimum hardware requirements. There was no change compared to the previous version of ECCoSP. So the requirements are still the same. Please note that the requirements depend on the message traffic and overall the server load. So in reality, this may differ a little bit, but the minimum that we defined is 4 cores for ECP endpoint, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and 40 gigabytes of storage should be enough for some basic installation. For EDX toolbox, then there is 2 cores and 4 gigabytes of RAM. We are also recommending usage of virtual machines because it can be resized in case you find out that you need more resources. Regarding the network flows, it's another topic that needs to be done before the installation. You would need to open flows in firewall, specifically port 8443 for ECP endpoint. This port is used for graphical user interface and web services, REST API, and etc. And it's needed to be opened for both inbound and outbound communication. Then you would need to open the flow for port 5371 for ECP endpoint, which is used for communication with ECP broker. And then also inbound flow with port 5672, which is used for internal broker of the ECP endpoint. For EDX toolbox, there is inbound 8443, which is the port used by default. But please know that in case that ECP endpoint and EDX toolbox are running on the same server, the port 8443 and also other ports would need to be changed to avoid the collisions. Also, another ports which will need to be opened are the ports for external databases, but we will get there a little bit later.
Yeah, so Daniel, we have one question from Miguel in the chat. It's related to the third party. Are there third party packages that require additional licenses?
No, just open source libraries are used in ECP-AX. So no other license is needed for ECCoSP applications. Of course, there is not listed operating system and databases.
Yeah, regarding the databases and operating systems, the licenses are mentioned in the release notes, I believe. So some standard addition of Windows Server, etc. So let's maybe move to the next slide, which is about communication protocols. The ECCoSP is using AMP-UPS for messaging and HTTPS for REST API, graphical user interface, and web services. As you can see, the SSL is used by default. Now let's take a look to deployment types the ECCoSP provides two types of the deployment, standalone and high availability deployments. The standalone deployment is pretty easy. It's just one instance of the, let's say, ECP endpoint, and no other services are required. ECP can use embedded database. By default, it's used Apache Derby. So you can just install it and run it as a standalone application. Or in case of standalone deployment, you can also use some external database, but it depends on your approach. And regarding the high availability deployment, that there are needed at least two instances of the same component running in a high availability cluster, and they are connected to the same external database. The reason why do high availability deployment is when one component goes down, the system will still continue to function without any outage. Regarding the supported databases, ECCoSP currently supports Oracle 19C, MS SQL Server 2019, MySQL 8, and PostgreSQL 13 external databases. You can see the default port on the screen. Also, if you don't want to use an external database, you can use the embedded one, which is Apache Derby, as I already mentioned. And this Derby database is fully managed by ECP or EDX application, and there is no need for any additional setup. So it's a little bit simpler. Also, we are recommending checking the installation guides, specifically chapters external databases or external database in case of EDX. And there is more information about application schemas, some specific configuration of the database, and etc. Another prerequisite is to obtain the ECCoSP installers themselves. So for ECCoSP clients, you can download it from the ENTSO-E ECCoSP webpage on this address. So it's entsoe.eu/ECCoSP/ECP or EDX. In case you need some central components, then they need to be shared via share and access can be granted by Pushmira Shekala. So you will need to ask ENTSO-E for the access. And also, before the installation, you should obtain some component codes. So these codes or EIC codes, Energy Identification Coding Scheme, which is mostly used, it can be obtained on some local or central issuing office for a country. And you would need to contact them to get the code, which can be then used for registration on the ECP endpoint. We will see that on the practical part. Please note that the component code must be unique within each ECP network, and also all networks which will be synchronized together. But this part should be covered by the issuing office, or at least the network administrator. So this will be all for the theoretical part. If you have any questions, you can can ask. When nothing, so we can move to the installation and upgrade. We will start with installation of the ECP endpoint and Linux toolbox on the same server, and we will also proceed with the installation of Java 17, and this will be followed by the upgrade from the previous version. So regarding the installation, we will install Java 17. Then we will install the ECP with encrypted passwords, register it, prepare it for edX toolbox integration. And then we will also install edX toolbox again with encrypted password, configure it, and start and send some message. So let's start with CP endpoint. Installation. So firstly, let's check the installation guide. Specifically, it's chapter 5, the installation of Java 17. Here is the process of the installation. So for Windows, we have already downloaded the package. And after installation, we will configure the GRE home variable. Here's the process. And also the Java home variable cannot be defined there. Start, we can check Java version, which is none in this case because Java is not installed yet. So let's install Java. Here's the GRE installer. So I will accept the terms and license agreement. I will use the jar files association, also path variable and Windows registry, and I will not choose the Red Hat Java Home and Java Home variables. Next, Java, and Java is installed. Right now, we need to set the environment variable. So right here, there's already a variable pointing to non-existent folder anymore. So I will just change it to this path. And you're going to see that the GRE home variable is defined and it's pointing to the folder where the Java is installed. Also, there is a little configuration of Java in folder conf security. There's file java.security, and we will need to find the secure random.source property and change its value from /dev/random to random. Say the file and check the Java version again. And you can see that the Java 17 is successfully installed. So we can proceed with the next part, which will be the installation of ECP endpoint. Again, let's check the documentation. Let's check the 7.
So, Daniel, we have a hand raise meanwhile by Daniel Wilder. So Daniel, I allow your mic. So if you
Yes,
ask your
thank you very much. Daniel from APG speaking. You installed the Java, but at APG we are using server installations. That means we just have the binary files there. Is it possible to use an environment variable or something like that to avoid an installation of Java?
Yeah, by configuring the Java home and JRE home, you can select which Java can be used or will be used.
Very good. Thank you very much for answering the question.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, so let's check documentation. So chapter 7 ECP endpoint installation, specifically 7.2 installation on Windows. So the installation process, just executing the jar file, and then we will go through the installer itself. So select some installation path and installation type. Select if we want to use service or not. Also, if we want to start the service automatically after service startup. And then we will configure the passwords. And that will be basically everything. Yeah, just click through that. So I will execute the file installation file. I will choose the install as a standalone application, and I will choose some installation path. In this case, ECCoSP EV. Click next. I want to register the application as a vendor service, so I will check this button. I will not check this one because I don't want to start the service after the startup in this case. Right now the application is being installed and we can set up the password. So I will use custom passwords and I will use encrypted passwords for both technical accounts and user password type. Some key, so something. I will use this default algorithm. Next, and then fill the passwords. All internal broker of the key store and also key store in the database. Yeah. Okay. Next. Now the passwords are being set and ECP endpoint is installed. done, and I think we can start the application, which is also described in the documentation in chapter 7.2.4, starting and stopping ECP endpoint. So I will be using the graphical user interface. So just open the services and start it from there. Here you can see the ECP endpoint service, and I will start it. Start in a moment. Might do a few seconds. Well, in the meantime, we can maybe check the EJX installation guide as well, and just check that the Java installation process is also mentioned here. It's the same description, and also we can check the installation process itself, which is described in chapter 6.2. Yeah, here. So again, the installation of Unix toolbox and the installation on Windows. The process is basically the same as it is for ECP endpoint. So again, some good installation by executing the jar file, then click through the installation options, and after that the configuration of the toolbox will be needed. Also, there is option to change the default port during the installation in case that the ECP is running on the same server, which is our case, so we will use it in a while. And yeah, the process is the same. So let's check the endpoint. Yeah, already started. Yeah, and here's the registration screen. So let's check the documentation again. Specifically chapter 8. There's a description of the registration process and also some functional smoke test. So the registration is pretty simple. Just open the browser and log in into graphical user interface. I already did that. Then I will upload the registration certificate, which is provided by the ECP component directory administrator together with its password. And there is needed to fill some information about component directory. So the component directory URL and its code, its component code. And then also some information about the endpoint itself. So again, some code, some optional fields as a project name and environment name, and then company information. after that, we will be redirected to the dashboard page, and we'll be waiting for approval on component directory. So let's do this to the ECP endpoint. I'll first download the registration e-store from component directory. So here it is, and I can use it for registration, fill the password. Right now, some information about component directory. So URL and its code, which is Zoom in this case. Yeah, the connectivity test was successful. The connectivity check is a necessary part of the registration. And then fill some information about the endpoint. So the code, in this case, it will be GTAG. We can optionally choose project name and environment name. So I can just paste the word project environment there. And also some organization, some company information such as organization, so webinar, some contact person, so show road, email, which is also necessary. So some made up email and also the contact phone, starting with two zeros. I will take the box that I have read GDPR disclaimer, which is right here, that all the information will be shared with the component directory administrator and also within the network. And I will submit the request. So right now the endpoint is reloading its configuration, and after that we'll be redirected to the dashboard page. You can see the current status. It's registering. The status between the registration and the registration approval. Let's say after the approval, the status will be changed to active. And you can also see that we are currently waiting for approval on component directory. The readiness actuator is telling us that the endpoint is not registered and we cannot create any message path. So I will approve the request. And right now we can wait less than a minute for endpoint to check the registration status and change its status. Then we will continue with the configuration of the IMQP context, which will be necessary for the integration with EDX toolbox. So we will set these properties in the runtime configuration, basically enable IMQP and set send handler, and also set some types for which it will be used. But this configuration is optional, and you can at this point you can configure any integration channel you will be using. Yeah, so endpoint is currently in active status. It was initially synchronized, so right now I can create the message path. We'll use the Gorilla broker for all message types and without wallet to, so wallet to infinite. So the message path was successfully created, and after the next synchronization attempt, it will be possible to send a message to itself. So I will configure the MQB context. I will use the runtime configuration page, and I will set the MQB API enabled to true, and also the properties for sender bname and type name for MQB API. Sender and also type name, asterisk for everything. So right now I can save configuration and the application context will be reloaded. So right now we have message path, the status of the endpoint is ready, and we can send some messages, but we will need to wait for the next synchronization at this point. So also the part necessary for the EDX toolbox integration will be to change the groups and user properties. So I will add the toolbox to the users and also add the toolbox user to users.properties. Here you can see that the password is encrypted. Box password. This is a prerequisite for the installation of EDX toolbox. And after this, it is necessary to restart DCP endpoint. Yeah, so in the meantime, we can start with installation of the EDX toolbox. Close these windows. Yeah. So as I already mentioned, the installation process is similar to the ECP endpoint one. Just execute the jar file and set the installation options and go through that. So nothing really different. So let's execute the file. I will choose the new EDX toolbox installation, and also I will choose some installation path. In this case, this folder. I'll click next, and I will register the application as a Windows service. But because we are running DCP on the same server, I also want to change the default ports. So by checking this, the toolbox will be using 9443 port for the graphical user interface, and the rest of the ports is also changed. You can check that after installation. Well, not allow the automated start in this case. The toolbox is being installed, and we can set up the password So again, I will define some custom passwords. I will use encrypted passwords for both user and technical accounts. Find some key, also confirm it. Again, I will be using the default encryption algorithm. Next, and then just fill the administrative password and also the rest of the passwords. Yeah. So click next. Password will be set and the toolbox is installed. Right now we can check the ports in the Tomcat/bin folder. We can execute Tomcat 9W exe with es/edx toolbox. And here you can see that the ports are changed from 8005 to 905, also 9 to 1998 and 9443. So all these ports are changed, and also the port in the edx properties for the internal program is changed as well. So let's go to the configuration. Can check the documentation again. So we have successfully installed edx toolbox. Yeah, here's how to start it, the same way as this for an ECP endpoint. And also in chapter 7 is described the configuration of the edx toolbox. Here. So yeah, before starting edx toolbox, the application must be configured. So here is the description of all configuration files that would need to be updated. Here for Windows installation, so edx properties and possibly edx YML in case of configuration of some integration channels, etc. So configuration of edx properties, I will change the edx toolbox code, which must match the ECP endpoint code. Also the service catalog code, which must match the endpoint code of the endpoint for service catalog within the network. Then there is public URL for pool messaging, etc. And then also there is a chapter for high availability installation, and there is more properties needed. Let's proceed with configuration. So I will change the code tag, so it will match the code of the ECP endpoint. And also I will fill in the code for service catalog, Lion in this case. So after the start, the edx toolbox will send a configuration request to this code. So yeah, here you can see that the passwords are encrypted for all database database users and user passwords. Here you can see that the default port 5672 is changed to 6672. It was done during the installation. And right now I will just need to change the key store out alias because I will be using the same key store for ECP endpoint and also for EDX toolbox. To establish the trusted communication between those two applications, the certificate, I think, signed by the same certificate authority is needed. But in this case, the easiest way is to just reuse the output key store from ECP endpoint. So I will do that. Just copy the output key store, which is generated after the registration, and paste it to the toolbox folder, and also rename it to keystore.js. So the toolbox will use it. And that will be everything for the configuration of the EDX toolbox at this point. So I will just start it. You can see the EDX toolbox service is installed and can start the application. So in the meantime, the endpoint is ready, so we can try to send a message. I will send it to itself. Some like this. I will choose some file. Here, I can send it. And as you can see, the message status is received. And also the message is displayed on the inbox. So the message was successfully received and the communication is working on the ECP side.
Daniel, we have a question in the chat from Daniel.
Yeah, I'm just typing that.
Okay.
The default priority level is used for both operating systems, and some customization has not been requested, therefore it was not tested. Maybe it can be interesting if there is any reason behind it, why to change its priority. If there are any other processes which utilizes the server more than ECP EDX, and if it is necessary to make ECP EDX process more in the higher priority.
Okay. Any is okay for you? And I have unmuted your mic, so if you have further, you can ask otherwise. Okay. Fine, Daniel, go ahead.
We can continue. So the EDX toolbox is successfully started. So I will just log in, and you can also check the ECP endpoint if here you can see the network configuration request coming from EDX toolbox and receiver ion. And also, we can see that the service catalog sent the network configuration. So we can check here on the settings page that the EDX toolbox has has loaded and received and loaded the network configuration. This toolbox was already added to the network configuration as a part of the preparation, but if it will, in case it's not added yet to the network configuration, this table will be just grayed out without the versions and etc. And also these information will be missing because they are loaded directly from the network configuration. In this case, you can send a message, some testing message, and I will send it to Zebra, let's say, some message type and also some file. Send it, and here you can see that the message is in receive status. You can check the receiver toolbox, which should be this one. Typo. And we can see it also on the receiver that the message is received. So with this, I would say that the installation was successful and both ECP endpoint and EDX toolbox are running as they should. So let's get back to the presentation. So we have installed ECP endpoint with encrypted passwords together with EDX toolbox, also with encrypted passwords. The version, you can check the version also. On EDX toolbox, the version is located right here. So you can see the 1.12 version. And on ECP endpoint, the version is located on the dashboard right here. So you can see the 4.11. And we have successfully sent and received the message via both applications. So that we are ready for the installation. If you have any questions regarding this process, you can ask. Probably nothing. So let's continue with the upgrade. So we'll start with checking the critical user interface, specifically the version. Then I will stop both ECP endpoint and EDX toolbox applications and proceed with the upgrade. In this case, the upgrade procedure contains the Java upgrade, which also means that the ECP endpoint and EDX toolbox needs to be updated together, like parallelly due to the Java, because they are also running on the same server. So let's check the upgrade guides. And let's move to check the 5.1, which is ECP endpoint upgrade and specifically upgrade on Windows. So we will start with stopping the application, and then we will upgrade to Java 17. Here is mentioned that in case the EDX is deployed on the same server, the EDX upgrade needs to be performed parallel with the ECP upgrade because they are both using the same Java. So we will upgrade the Java from 11 to 17. So procedure. So basically, uninstall Java 11 and then again install Java 17 in the same way as it is for the installation. So the process is the same. So let's move to the server. And let's check the components. So here's the ECP endpoint. Here you can see that it's currently running version 4.1. And for EDX toolbox, we can see that it's running version 1.11. So I will stop both applications. Here from the services. So ECP endpoint and also EDX toolbox. Yeah. Right now I will upgrade Java to Java 17. So as they mentioned here, the currently installed Java 11 has to be uninstalled before the installation of Java 17. So I will open the control panel and open the programs and features, and I will uninstall the currently installed Java 11. Again, it's a GRE package. So Java is uninstalled, and we can proceed with the installation of Java 17. So again, here's the JRE installer for this. And the same way as it is for the installation, I will choose the JRPy association. That will be the only custom chosen feature, because the path variable and Windows registry is already by default chosen. Click next, and yeah, install Java. Right now, I would also need to change the system variable. So again, from pointing to this folder for Java 11, I will change it for the currently installed Java 17. So the variable is changed. GRE home is there and pointing to the correct folder. And also the same as it is for installation, I would need to change the Java security file. So again, secure random property and change its value from def random to def urandom. So the Java was upgraded. We can check the Java version, and you can see that there is Java 17 installed. So we can proceed with the next steps. which will be the application upgrade itself. Yeah, there is also a chapter for internet broker configurations. This applies only if you have some custom configuration in those files, which we don't for us, and installing a version of application. So the process is very simple. Just execute the jar file, and yeah, you can execute it via a command line or just by clicking the file. For the upgrade, the installation type, upgrade an existing ECP installation needs to be selected, and also the target installation path needs to be pointed to the already installed ECP endpoint, and then just clicking through the installer. So let's proceed. So we'll execute the jar file. Okay, so I will execute it via command line because the jar file associations maybe need some more time. So we'll move to this directory, and by command java -jar, I will execute the installer. Not sure what happened. Because we were many ideas.
Sure.
Then maybe we can try to restart the server due to the Java change or something.
Yeah, we can.
Maybe. Let's try that. So just quick restart server. Yeah, but the next steps would be the updated configuration, so change of the TLS, and etc. Right. let's try to, yeah. Yeah, good. So the server started, and can try to execute the installation file again. And yeah, the icons are loaded, so at least something. Maybe try it again via command line.
Yeah, we need to check it if Java is installed properly.
Try its console if it's not the same. Yeah, so Java.
So if we can continue. Next.
Oh, this is the last part. Yeah, maybe reinstall Java just quickly.
Yeah, if you type Java dash version.
Yeah, there's already 17. Yeah. So the Java's upgraded, but maybe something during the installation process.
Let's start.
Yeah. Yeah, so I will install Java and install it again. Yeah, so the agreement, Java file association, Java home and Red Hat Java home melt, and next and install. Check the system variables. Jar area home pointing the correct folder. I can maybe check it again. But with that. Yes, this seems to be correct. So let's try it again. Server has some bad mood or something.
It does not start it on double click.
Oh yeah, let's try it once. I have one line again, but yeah, that's the same result.
And toolbox. Toolbox is starting.
So maybe something with the file itself.
Yeah, it can be.
Maybe try to upload.
So check it out.
So here and staying. This thing. Yeah, this is kind of strange.
And this is install or upgrade?
Upgrade.
Upgrade. And install was working
Yeah.
on different server.
Yeah.
And the installation package is the same.
Yeah. It is.
So can you run installation on that Windows 5 server?
Like,
Is it possible?
I can like execute the file. Yeah.
Yeah, because the same package is working on this server, not on that Windows 4.
Probably something with the server.
Yeah.
Maybe because the toolbox installer is.
Yeah. So if you can proceed here,
Yeah, so we can
maybe installation.
maybe let's say do the upgrade procedure here, and then upgrade just the toolbox on the this one on the server. So yeah, so I will just stop the TCP endpoint. Yeah, and let's go to the upgrade process. So I will choose to upgrade an existing ECP application. And then I will choose the correct folder and just hit the next button. Everything for the upgrade itself, but then there is another part which is update configuration, so we can maybe check those files and see how it should look. So firstly, we would need to choose the server XML and find the HTTPS connector and add this SSL implementation name attribute together with TLS 1.3 ciphers. So from the previous one, by default, there should be TLS 1.2 and 1.3. So it's recommended to remove the TLS 1.2, and this will also require the change of the ciphers, but they are mentioned here, so you can just copy it. Let's check the file. Just looking at here and the server XML. And here in the HTTPS connector, you can see that there is only TLS 1.3 protocol used. The SSL implementation name attribute is also present, and the ciphers contains only ciphers needed for the TLS 1.3. The previous version has 4 of them, so we can check that as well. And you can see that the SSL implementation name attribute is missing, and enabled protocols are TLS 1.2 and 1.3, and there are also more ciphers because of 2 enabled protocols. needs to be changed after the upgrade. Check the documentation again. Also, it's necessary to at least check the active MQ XML files, some configuration files located in the JMS folder, and also remove the TLS 1.2 if it's still present. But in the case that you have some business application that is using TLS 1.2, then there is necessary to leave it there because it's required for the connection. So, like, check the DNS configuration files. In my case, I'm using internal SLPKS configuration and XML file. And here in the transport connector URI, you can see that there is TLS 1.3. Also, let's say it was just for this TLS version. Yeah. On the previous version, it would look like this. Yeah, so here you can see in the same transfer connector that there is two versions of ELS and also more cycles. So I can maybe just start again and point the upgraded one. Check it after that, but right now we can proceed with the upgrade of the EDX toolbox. So let's check the documentation. Specifically, it's chapter 5.1. And the process will be the same. So stop the application, which I already did. We can pick up some configuration if we want to, and upgrade the Java. So Java's already upgraded. So we can just we can just install new version of the application. So the process is the same as this for ACP endpoint. Just execute the jar file, choose the upgrade option, and choose the correct installation path, and just proceed with the upgrade. And then there is also the update configuration needed. So let's proceed with upgrades. Oh, it's yeah. Like this to make sure. Yeah. So I will choose the upgraded option. Choose the correct installation path and just hit the next button. Yeah. So right now the EDX toolbox was upgraded and we can update the configuration. So again, the same files as it's for ECP endpoint, server XML and HTTPS connector in it. And we will remove the TLS 1.2 protocol from the SSL enabled protocols attribute. So here in this protocol, you can see that there are two protocols enabled. So I will remove TLS 1.2. I will also add the SSL implementation name attribute. And also I will change the ciphers. So I will just, yeah, so here is keep only these ciphers in the ciphers attribute. So I will just copy this, put it to the file. So that will be already for the 7 XML, and we can move to the GMS files, which is here. So I will again find the transport connector element and check if there is TLS 1.3 there, and remove the TLS 1.2. Also change those ciphers. Here I'm going to secure and from HA profile. And here you can see that there are both protocols. So I will remove TLS 1.2, and I will also change the ciphers. Again, keep only these ciphers in this property. So I'll copy that. It. So like this. And yeah, but we are not using ECCO or LDAP, so this is we can skip this step. Also, we are upgrading from the newer version, so we can just start the application. But right now I'm not sure if it will start if the endpoint is not running behind it. So we can maybe start the service, but it will.
Or we can connect it to the 05 server.
It's also possible. Yeah, so I will just quickly change the configuration of the toolbox. And yeah, that's right, it will be better. So I will just change the code. And also, yeah, this address. This is the host of the ECP internal broker. So I will change it to the IP address of that server. to be almost everything. I would also need to copy the certificate, the store. Here I go into my local drive. And then this one and copy the new one to the server and rename it because the toolbox is configured to use just keystore JKS, not our keystore. So in theory that should be everything. So I can try to start the toolbox. Yeah, so this is it. It was running version 1.11 and to start the new version should be displayed. The logs. In the meantime, there's something that I forgot for the configuration change. Yeah. This. Okay. And HMS.
That's the pink.
Yeah. So this looks good. Yeah.
No, it was not yet started.
Yeah.
Be patient.
And yeah, here you can see that the EDX toolbox was upgraded to version 1.12. Also, it got the network configuration, so I can just send a message again to Zebra. And check if, yeah, the message is working, the message is received. You can also check the receiver. Okay, so another component died, okay, but that's
That's on Windows 5.
oh, sorry,
That's covered.
yeah, you're right. I brought it up. It will be, yeah, this one. Good, yeah, and you can see the message. Yeah. So the message was successfully sent and it received after the upgrade. So let's go back to the presentation. So we've shown you the upgrade procedure for ECP endpoint. Also, we went through the configuration changes. We have successfully upgraded the EDX toolbox and changed its configuration. We have shown the version, at least for EDX toolbox, and sent a message via the toolbox. So it will be everything for the upgrade part. So if you have any questions, you might ask. Yep. Sorry. Okay, so if there are no questions, we can just thank you for your participation and for your attention. And yeah, we will check the chat.
Yeah, maybe see you on Linux webinar on this Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks, Daniel and Lucas, for answering the presentation and answering the questions in between. So thank you all for joining. As mentioned, we have another session planned similar, but for the Unix on the 25th. Invites were already sent, but you can find more details on the ECCoSP website as well. And I will provide you the link for training videos that we have on our website already present, and these and this particular webinar already recorded and will be uploaded on the same location, so you can access from there. I also provided the YouTube playlist where you can not only this but other sessions and some the quick videos to give you details about the ECCoSP you can find there. So I encourage you to go and register for the remaining sessions which are planned throughout the year. So that will help you understanding in the more detail. So apart from the upgrade and installation, we have specific topics covered there, and seminar or webinars are planned. In case you have any questions, you can always reach to me or at our website via the website or via our email ID, which is ecp@ENTSO-E.eu, and we're happy to assist you. And if there is no further question, we can close this session for today, and hope to see you, most of you, again on 25th, the Unix one. Okay, if no further queries or I see no hand raised and question, thank you all for joining, and we can close. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Lucas.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.